Well, we're doing our Locked In series, which will talk a lot about some of the things you need to know. But I think elk hunting tactics, a lot of people don't know how to elk hunt.
Okay, these are the things you need to know before you leave.
Yeah, make it appealing to be downloaded on the way to elk camp for that second wave. Because I even will go through and download some podcasts on my way to elk camp to listen to as a reminder.
Okay, and who's joining us today?
Josh Crawford.
Hey, Josh.
How's it going?
So, Riley, north or south, Idaho?
I don't know.
God.
You're still undecided?
No, I was decided, but now I'm undecided. I was decided on North Idaho, but now I'm undecided.
And that's just stubborn Riley who wants to hunt North Idaho?
No, it's probably a little bit of nostalgic and a little bit of wanting to kill a branched antler bull in North Idaho, and then a little bit of not knowing how to hunt South Idaho.
Familiarity?
Yeah.
Josh, you've killed North Idaho bulls. You've killed South Idaho bulls.
Yes.
What's different? Compare, contrast.
Well, I think everybody's heard North Idaho is very brushy. And South Idaho, so much more open. You can plan your day by sitting a good spot and viewing all of the elk in the morning, and then you can create several plans. In North Idaho, at least in my experience, it's much harder to do that. Some of the places that I've hunted in North Idaho have been a little bit tight. The area hasn't been as big, and so sometimes they'd go on to private, and then my day would be over. So, yeah.
So I guess I asked that because what do you need to know? You need to know where you're going, which sounds like silly. I'm sure it does. But you realistically need to know the terrain you're about to step foot in.
Right.
So I'll give some examples. I'm going to hunt probably southern Idaho. There's several mountain ranges, zones, units I can choose from. I haven't bought my tag yet. I don't have to decide till I go out the door, but it's damn sure going to be open country where I can rely on visually finding elk versus where North Idaho, I have to hear them or read sign and cover lots of country. I want to cover country with my glass. Give you another example. Going to hunt New Mexico with my dad this year in a new to me unit, but I've e-scouted it. There's some burns I can glass. And then there's some areas where it's real meadowy with sprinkled pines and rolling hills. They'll be talking in New Mexico. I've been near this unit. They'll be vocal. And if they're not vocal during the day, they damn sure will be at night. I'll be able to locate them at night.
Mm-hmm.
As in driving a truck on a National Forest road, bugling off of it, hearing bulls answering, okay, there's elk in this pocket, that pocket. Utah, that hunt doesn't count. That's a private land, private ranch. I'll actually get tired of hearing elk bugle in a day, which I never thought I'd say, but I've done that hunt twice now, and I think I'm scheduled to do it this year. And I literally would love to not hear ringing in my ears when I go to bed. That's how many bugles.
It's a lot of bugles.
1,000 a day, maybe more. I don't know. People won't believe that. Let's say 500 bugles a day, just for a safe number. That many bugles in a day. Montana. You take your pick, Montana, right? Montana's a general tag for me. I can go all over Kingdom Come. I'm going to hunt open country. I'm going to go where I can see elk. I don't want to depend on elk vocalizing. So the first thing you need to know is where are you going and what's the terrain like. That's it. Then you'll know, kind of unpack your plan. There are places where it's a mix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's some thick, you got some open, you got some old burns, some new burns. That's cool. But yeah, the first thing you need to know is where you're hunting. So you don't know yet, Riley.
Not positive. I'll make a choice pretty quick, though.
Give me a percent. I'm 51% going to North Idaho, or 99% chance I'm going to Idaho, North Idaho. What do you know?
I would say after much persuasion from you and Rod and seeing some of the e-scouting, I'm like 60% South Idaho.
Okay. I want to return to North Idaho soon. I don't want to return to North Idaho. I'm afraid I'm going to get in a fight with everybody because North Idaho dudes are hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to have a lot of etiquette when you can't really see the country. You don't know if you're stepping on someone's toes. Only way to tell is if like their machine's parked, maybe where you were going to park a machine. But then even then, you're like, well, did they go zig or did they zag? Did they go up? Did they go down? And eventually you'll run into somebody. Yeah. And you don't always run into the nicest people. You usually do, but sometimes you'll run into people that are just possessive over public land or whatever. And I'm sure I've been like that to other people in my earlier days. But so I have a lot of conflict when I hunt North Idaho.
Do you feel like people have hunted a certain spot so long they feel like they own it?
They'll always tell you they've been there for 20 years minimum. I've been hunting here for 20 years. Okay. That means, yeah. So I get it, but I don't. You know what I mean? At some point, you got to just be like, okay, I have been hunting here a long time. I know it really well. What's your plan?
Mm-hmm.
And then you tell me your plan, and then you do your plan, and I'll work around your plan. You know, that typically works best. But I mean, we ran into a lot of hunters when we hunted. I hunted with you in September last year,
mm-hmm.
and we ran into quite a few hunters. Yeah. I thought they were all cool.
Most of them were, yeah.
Most.
Actually, I don't think I ran into anyone that was not cool.
I saw some dudes doing stuff that's not cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. You know,
they were all friendly, at least.
They're friendly. They're just like they were doing their tactic, and their tactic went against my tactic. My tactic was ambush in one spot. Their tactic was ping pong the elk all over the hillside.
Well, that was another good thing about open. You could see them from a long ways away, and you could tell where they were going, and you could avoid them in a lot of cases.
Yeah, definitely. No, everyone's trying their best. So what do you need to know? You need to know where you're going and the tactics you're going to bring to the table, and maybe figure out what tactics suit your fancy the best. So, Riley, you're a pretty new elk hunter. You've had success with a bow solo. But what would you say your tactics are, regardless of where you're going? Like, what's your strong suit?
I think something that I've definitely worked on being better about is adaptability in the sense of able to change spots and not get stuck somewhere. I think last year I kind of had a mentality of wanting to be stuck somewhere because there were elk there, and then I would go 2 or 3 days without encounters. Whereas I think this year a strength going forward is bouncing around and chasing elk, even if it means leaving elk that I know are there, but I'm not having encounters with.
I like that. If you're not getting encounters, maybe leave elk to go find elk, which is supposedly a cardinal sin, like, right? You don't leave elk to find elk. I don't know if I agree with that, because when I first encounter an elk herd, that's my highest odds of getting a good encounter within archery range. If I work with this herd over and over, day after day, and they smell me or they see me more than once, they start to get pretty hip to you, and your odds go down, I think. Josh, what is your bag of tricks? Like, what do you think your strong tactics? What suits your style the best?
Well, my style is still evolving, especially with only 2 years in the open country. The first year, both years, it was a lot of brush blind sitting. The first year, that was successful, and the second year, not so much. So,
like random pinch points?
Yeah. I would find a spot where either I know elk come through because of a lot of sign, or I've seen them in that spot multiple times, and so I would sit a certain spot, and then with the intention of just them coming through on one of those days when I'm sitting. Last year it didn't work. It might have been the wrong spot. I don't know, but my tactics are still evolving. a question I had for you is that people should know is how do you, as a new elk hunter, how do you find elk when you go to an area? You might know the area you're going to be at and how you're going to hunt it, but how do you find it? And how do you, when you do find them, how do you decide, okay, they're messed with enough that I need to move on and find different elk?
That's a tough question, and it's so situational. I can go back to like the maps we were just studying for our scouting trip, and all that information was gleaned over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not 5 years of elk hunting. That's 5 Septembers plus at least one scouting trip a year. And what do I do on a scouting trip? The first thing I do is I learn roads. Like I want to know where every road goes, and every spur, and every dead end, and every campground, and every bottleneck. Like I want to learn that. So like getting around, I have it kind of memorized because a lot of my getting around is in the dark. If it's daylight, you're not going to see me driving my truck, changing spots or on a road. So I kind of have to have really bright LED headlights or figure out running tracking on OnX and having everything mapped out. So that's the first thing I'll do on a scouting trip. I'm not even looking for elk. I'm just trying to figure out how to move about the country. Then the next thing was I'll sprinkle out trail cameras. If I'm going to go hike into an area, I don't know if there's a good wallow. I'm going to look on Google Earth and on X, and I'm going to try to find some green wet spots. I'm going to try to, figure out where I think a spring is. But the elk trails will usually tell you how they get around, the laterals they like, the saddles that cross into different mountains. Like elk are going to look for the path of least resistance. So we're going to find those areas, and we're going to sprinkle out some cameras. I may bring 10 cameras, sprinkle them out, mark them on OnX. Literally just got done showing you a couple cameras that I've had out for 4 years. I just haven't been back. Hopefully they're still there, and they have information on there that I need to review to see about, did they rut there? How many bulls were in there? How many cows? When did they leave the high country for winter range? When did they get back into the high country from winter? How many predators are in there? How many hunters walked by? Yeah. So I do sprinkle out trail cameras, and a lot of times I hope I come back and get it, and I'll lean on that. But for me, scouting in person is not as realistic as scouting online. And scouting online is mainly finding the best way to move through the country to cover as much ground as possible. So ridge systems, which fingers to avoid, which ridges loop, and how to do a circuit throughout an area. And do I need someone to drop me off so that I can end up at a truck at a different spot? Or can I park in one spot, do a loop, and not have to do a 15-mile road walk back to my truck in the dark, So a lot of logistics and traveling and terrain features, and then looking for springs, trail cameras, learning the road systems, all that can be done from a desktop, but it's always nice to go in person and realize that it's way bigger, it's way steeper, and it's way further than that computer lies to you.
Yeah, totally.
So that's typically how I find elk, is pre-scouting my routes, seeing them or hearing them. And then the last resort is actually what probably most people do, is looking for sign. To me, sign can be old. I mean, I'll give you a couple examples of sign to look for. How about that? I want to find an area that has the type of rubs that are in a bedroom, where this bull's had cows, it's a dark timber, there's enough bedding for him and his harem. And there's beds everywhere. It's dark timber. It might be north facing, it might not, but I can tell that he made a rub from his bed. And he's made multiple rubs. That's cool. If I find trails that are going through a saddle, I'm going to look at the tracks. Are these tracks far apart? Okay, they're hauling ass. This is a transition. This is not a feeding place. This is not a bedding place. These elk are moving on this trail, and this is purely transition, meaning they're on a highway. They're moving. They're grooving. Or you find a meadow, and there's elk crap everywhere. You can tell the grass has been chewed down, and you can see tracks close to each other. They're milling around. They're hanging out. Chances are it's mostly at night. But then you can kind of start reverse engineering from this grocery store. How did they get here? Where do they want to go to bed? What's a safe distance? What's their travel route? A lot of reverse engineering for elk. Elk do elk things regardless of the unit and the state you're in.
Mm-hmm.
There is differences, though. I've hunted Nevada where I hunted this one bull. He went 7 miles every day with his cows to food and to water. Dude, we went by so many great places. I'm like, why don't you dummies bed right here? It'll save you about 5 miles. It's cool. It's dark. But no, we want to go 7 miles to our bedroom. I'm sure they have their reason. Some elk only go 1,000 yards from bedding to feeding. Some elk feed their way down at night, and you catch them in the mornings in the bottom of the canyons. Some elk bed in the bottom of canyons and feed their way up at night, and they're on top of the mountains. You know, timberline, no timberline. It's the same program. It's just figure out the terrain and what they're doing.
So the conventional wisdom isn't always true. You have to be in that area and observe and figure out what the elk are actually doing.
Yeah, what you need to know before you go elk hunting is you need to pay the frick attention to what's going on. Like, you quit overlooking all these. This is just information at your fingertips, and you're walking right past it. Like, stop for a second and think about that track and how far the distance is from hoof to hoof. What kind of track is it? Is it a calf? Is it a cow? Is it a young bull? Is it a big bull? You should be able to tell the difference. What kind of rub? Was this rub made with the bachelor boys in the summer around August 15th? Or was this rub made September 1st last year in a bedroom when he had cows? When do the bulls hook up the cows? Some areas, the light switch is August 30th, September 1st. Some areas it's like, or I was just showing you, those bulls don't come down to the cows till about September 6th, 7th, or 8th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got 5 to 7 days to kill them in their bachelor groups. And then it gets a little bit more tricky, but also the bugling picks up a lot around the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Moon phase. I don't think the moon phase plays as big a role in the Northwest as it does in the Southwest. Just my observation. This year, the darkest day is September 22nd. That's also fall equinox. That's also peak rut. You need to be in the woods September 22nd. Mm-hmm. Somebody should be screaming in September 22nd. Or all of them will be screaming. It should be a good day. Or like within that 48 hours of that. So keying in on that kind of stuff. Another thing is access. Like figuring out the access. I talked about like learning the roads and stuff. But like if you have to walk 5 miles to check a basin, that's a lot of energy and effort to just sound check one basin. If it is legal and it's logistically sound, take your truck, drive around. One thing I do is I try not to take my truck. I try to take a UTV, an ATV, a dirt bike, or an e-bike, whatever's legal.
Mm-hmm.
What's legal in one state might be illegal in another. Montana, I have to get a sticker that says like off-road. I can't remember whatever, but it's got to be on whatever machine. Mm. What if I use a dirt bike one weekend? Montana's not that far. And the next weekend I go to bring the UTV from Polaris. I got to transfer that sticker over. And a lot of people don't even buy that sticker. So they're like literally breaking the rules by just using their four-wheeler on a dirt road because Montana's like, they want their revenue. They want that $50 or $30 sticker. North Idaho, where you're hunting, there's no motorized rules other than you can hike this trail or you can ride a dirt bike. It's single track. So no four-wheelers are allowed. And honestly, good luck getting a four-wheeler on a single track dirt bike trail in North Idaho.
Yeah.
You'll see where guys try and they'll go a little ways and then you'll see where they turn around and realize they're about to die. Yeah. But like in southern Idaho, motorized vehicle use map is your friend. You can download it. There's an app that you can Avenza. You can download all the motorized vehicle use maps on Avenza, which I do, and then you cross-reference on X, but the Avenza app is what you want. Or call up the office and have them mail you real copies. Now, these maps suck, but they're good enough to tell you. Like, I've literally found places where this dirt bike trail is open until September 7th, and then it's closed. It's like, well, shit, you better know that.
Yeah.
What if you didn't know that and you're like, burp, riding up there, having a good time? And the trail I'm talking about is in a specific place, but I rode it one year and I knew it was open. I had my motorized vehicle use map And I could tell where somebody had like kind of put a bunch of logs over the road.
Yeah, trying to block it.
Any skilled rider could just get that tire over all of them. They didn't make it that hard. So like I never got off my bike and moved anything, but I just kind of wheelied over everything. And I get back in there and it's like August 29th. I've told this story on the podcast before, but I don't think either of you heard it. And I'm riding up this dirt bike trail and I'm starting to get higher and higher. And I finally hit it like a meadow and it's green. And then I can see like a giant wallow that I'm going to ride by. And I pull up and I stop. I got my helmet on. It's August 29th.
Mm-hmm.
This dude jumps out of the bushes, full camo, face painted, and he's got his bow. And he's yelling at me. And I have a helmet on, so I can't exactly hear him, but it's something about like he's not calling me nice things and that I'm riding my dirt bike where it's not supposed to be. And finally he gets up to me and he's like, "You can't ride a dirt bike up here. This is walk-in only. I had elk coming in right now and you just blew them out." And I was like, do you know what the day is? And he's like, "It's Saturday." I was like, "No, do you know the date?" And he's like, "August 29th. I'm like, "Exactly, bro. It's elk season's not open yet." And he's like, "Yes, it is. It opens the last Saturday of August every year." And I was like, "You might want to go the 8 miles back to your truck, drive to town, grab some regulations. You're hunting when the season's closed." And like, his face said it all. And like, I can't remember if he even said anything, but it's just like he just melted away really fast. just shut up and just disappeared and back into the trees. And I think he probably tucked his tail and went all the way back to his truck. But he was hunting. He didn't know the rules.
Yeah.
That trail I was on closes September 7th. So I knew I had 8 more days. But if I hadn't known that, so you got to read all this stuff.
Sometimes it's hard. Yeah, I mean,
You could try your best and still break the rules.
there's rules everywhere. It's hard to know where to look. Sometimes especially at the trailhead, people tear signs down, and you're still responsible for knowing.
The responsibility lies on you. So what do you need to know before you go? You need to know where you're hunting and how to get around legally, what the nuanced rules are. I think it would be smart to bring a mountain bike or an e-bike or a dirt bike or a four-wheeler or a UTV. Like where we were camped last year, you, me, and Tyler, and everyone knows where we were camped. We rode a dirt bike to the trailheads from there. Yeah. Guess how many trailheads are there? 10. And I didn't have to ever move my truck. And if I had taken my truck, Josh, to the trailhead, name one, it would be an hour drive. You can't drive. I take my dirt bike, it's minutes. Yeah. I'm in 5th gear through the high desert, going over whoop-de-whoops, wearing a helmet, but not worried about it. So it's just time is your economy. When you're elk hunting, you need to have something to get around super fast.
It saves a lot of time for sure.
And energy.
Yeah.
So even a mountain bike in most instances would save you time.
Yeah.
If you're hunting old logging roads, you want to walk them, or do you want to ride a bike that's quiet and you can still hear elk bugling and cover more ground? If you cover more ground, you might find more bulls. You find more bulls, you might get more encounters. More encounters might mean one that works out in your favor. And I'm a reps guy. I'm just looking for as many encounters with elk as possible. My rule is to be into elk every day. So back to your original question, how do you find elk? Let's just talk about how you don't find elk. You don't have something to get around fast on that's legal. That's going to slow you down. You haven't identified the terrain that you're hunting. You haven't identified places that are master advantages to glass, and you're looking for a good place to glass. You could have been 50 yards away from the ultimate master advantage that you didn't know about. Find those on your desktop using OnX before you go. Hunting the same places over and over. Pounding the same elk because you found elk. They're getting pretty educated. What other things have you guys done to not find elk?
Trying to think.
Sleep in.
Yeah, I'm sleeping in or doing
hiking
things,
out early.
I would say doing things that, like going back to camp at lunch for any reason.
Go back to lunch for a sandwich and a nap. I hope that works for you. That's never worked out well for me.
One thing is not pursuing elk until you can't pursue them anymore. Like it's like, oh, they're over there. Well, I don't really have enough time to get over there before dark.
So what? What if you change the way you thought about it? It's okay, I don't know if I have enough time. I'm going to find out. But the positive thing about me going over there is that I get to add an hour and 30 minutes to my hike back to the truck. That's not positive. But what that may end up is I can sit down and listen once it gets dark for other bugles. And I'm close enough to the backside of this ridge. Now I'm within earshot to sound check it. I'll sound check it right at dark, more likely to get a response than at 12 o'clock during the day. So by you going over there, you gave yourself a chance and you discovered 2 other bulls you didn't know about. And you now have a really good hunt planned for the next morning. Now, you're going to have to hike out an hour and a half longer than it already was. You're probably going to have to go to bed later and wake up earlier than you wanted. But there are naps that can be taken on the mountain next to elk when they're bedded down. And I always say, like, the longer you can be with elk within archery range, good stuff happens.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point. I think that kind of answers like how to find elk. It's a mixture of bugling, night bugling, knowing the terrain, glassing, reading sign, paying attention, things like that. What else do people need to know before they go?
I mean, what are some, I guess, absolute do's and absolute do-nots of elk hunting? Like, what should you never do? Or what are some common things that people do that's just either a waste of time or you are actually ruining your hunt?
Yeah, I do think it's important that you never miss a morning. Mornings to me are like Christmas. Like, I can't wait to get up. Even though I'm tired and exhausted, I cannot wait because it dictates the pace of the day. If I can get my ass up in the dark and get to a good vantage or get up a good ridge where I can hear, see, or one of the two, there's a good chance I'm going to hear the elk, which means I can parallel the elk, coyote behind the herd, whatever it takes to just slowly figure out what's the next step. Am I going to try to get them right now in transition? Am I going to let them bed and then try to work above them and do some calling? Am I going to let them go to bed and then I'm going to wait for the evening and when they get up, try to get them when they start milling around? Or I'm going to wait for the last 15 minutes of legal shooting light and try to kill them in transition? Am I going to challenge, do midday madness, try to challenge the herd bull? Am I going to ambush? You don't have any of that information if you miss the morning hunt. The other thing is in the evenings is like hunting your way back to the truck is just code for I'm afraid of the dark, or I realize that I'm a long ways from my truck. You just got to be okay with that. I think a lot of guys put too much stuff in their backpack.
Yeah.
Seriously, I've done it every year. I have an audit about day 2 every year. I'll do it this year, I guarantee it. And I'm going to like find shit to take out of my backpack that I thought I needed. I'm like, no, I'll come back for that. No. Did you do that at all this year?
Oh yeah, I've done the same thing. After a couple of days of packing stuff around that I don't use, it's like, oh, I'm not going to use this. There's a very small % chance that I'm going to use this. I'm going to save the ounces so that I can walk as far as I can, for sure.
Yeah, you'd be faster.
Yeah.
And have more energy. So I'm not against taking naps, but I'm kind of against taking naps if you don't have any elk to hunt. Like, I'm going to use that opportunity to run ridges and blow on bugle tubes to try to get an answer if I don't have elk located. And while doing so, I'm going to be like head on a swivel, seeing if I bump any elk, head on a swivel, looking for the sign that gives me the information that I need, things like that. I think a lot of guys probably overestimate how much effort it's going to be to get somewhere. And so they're late. Mm-hmm. I like waking up extra early. I'm a pretty fit dude, but I like running trekking poles in the morning, having my bow attached to my backpack, double trekkers, charging, but also have enough time to like, I want to catch my breath for 5 minutes, not hyperventilate and I want to listen for bugles.
Yeah.
Like, so give yourself enough time to like ease your way up, not like get soaked in sweat, which is super easy to do if you're late or you didn't leave early enough. You got to like rush up there. I think a lot of guys forget to hike cold in the morning, which sucks. I hate being cold, but like you don't want to start hiking with a puffy on. Within 3 minutes, that thing's you have to stop again, put it in your pack. Like you start out cold, build up a lather, just like anything. Those are just some of the basic stuff. I think having a variety of food that you look forward to eating. Like I've 1 year I was a cheap ass and just bought all the same bulk food. And I'm here to tell you, there was like 3 or 4 things in my lunch every day that I could not eat anymore. And so I didn't eat. So those are just missed calories. Yeah. And by the end of the hunt, I had boxes and boxes of this or that. Where last year I did a damn good job of like making all this cool variety stuff. Every day was like a rainbow of different food that I could eat and I liked. And there's still stuff I was like grew tired of fast. And it didn't matter. I'd just move on to the next food bag.
Yeah.
I have a question. I think that's it's kind of a big question, but I do think a lot of people wonder about it. Solo versus with partners. Mm-hmm. What are some hunting strategies for solo versus partners? And then should you go solo or should you have partners?
Ooh, I mean, I think you should go solo. It is really effective to have a partner. If this partner cares as much as you do about your success as their own. Meaning, if you and I are hunting together, Riley, I can't be in the back of my mind thinking like, okay, I want to be shooter today, you're caller. And then the next day it's like, I wonder if Riley would mind if I'm shooter again. Or, you know what I mean? Or, oh, shit, Riley killed an elk. That's going to cost us 2 more days of packing that elk out. And then I burn up to my 2 days to help you get your elk out. And you were like, dude, that's cool. Actually, you know what's funny is I got to get home now. Like my girlfriend needs me to do this. My wife needs to do that. And so like, dude, good luck to you. Do you know how many guys have pulled that asshole move? Where like they go with their hunting partner, they kill, and when that meat gets back to their truck, they all of a sudden got to depart. Yeah. Versus kind of like me last year, I killed pretty early, and it was my mission to try to help you and Tyler. That is the old Dan. Younger Dan would have been like, all right, guys, I just killed. I got another tag in my pocket. I'm gone. I'm out. Good luck. Nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Like there's a maturation there where I was, and looking back, my most fond memories of 2024 season was not hunting for myself. It was when you and Tyler were hunting and I was tagged out and I was just like with you guys trying to figure out how to get a damn elk to hold still for you to shoot.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. So having a hunting partner that cares as much about your success as yourself, that's like, we have to start there. And then obviously like you can't be the guy, like, I don't know what kind of sounds you can make, Riley, but like I can make all the elk sounds. I can call for you and you're going to have a good chance. I don't even know if can you make all the sounds? Could you be as good a caller for me as I am for you?
Probably not.
That sucks. Like get on my level so that you're an equal hunting partner. So for the days that I'm shooter, I got as good a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that like will put the work in on the calling and then their hunting partner absolutely sucks. That sucks. That's the whole situation sucks. Quality Archery Designs. I was kind of a naysayer in the beginning until they came out with the Integrate MX2. I put that on my Matthews, made for my Matthews, and now they make integrates for several different bow manufacturers. This is by far the easiest operating rest on the market, and I would argue that rests are one of the most important accessories you put on your bow. For micro-tuning fixed broadheads, look no further than the MX2. This is something that you can do one click at a time to get perfection, and you can click it in the upright position and stock with full containment, something I wasn't able to do with a limb-driven rest. So I'm a huge believer in QAD, and I think you guys should give them a shot. Check out their website to learn more. They also make some pretty amazing broadheads. QAD, made here in the States. Guys, do you have a health savings account? I do, and you can use that card to purchase sheep feet, which will help save your feet. Everything starts from the ground up. Sheep feet are orthotics that you put in your boots. So you take whatever comes stock out, put those in. It's suited, it's custom, it's tailored to your feet. Then you'll transfer energy more efficiently and avoid neuroma, plantar fasciitis, hammer toes. You'll just have a better backcountry experience and transfer more energy. When you sign up for Sheep Feet, they send you a mold in the mail. You put your feet in the mold, return label, send it back. Within a couple weeks, you'll have your own custom orthotics that you can put in your training shoes, your hiking shoes, and your hunting boots. Head over to Sheep Feet to learn more. Discount code ElkShape will save you loot. It's the best money you'll spend. 2006, I met the founder of Wilderness Athlete and been taking their supplements since. Hydrate and Recover Energy and Focus are staples in the backcountry. Creatine, HMB, plus their post-workout BCAAs is a staple in the off-season. Also, I'm in my 40s. I rely heavily on their joint supplements that have glucosamine, sulfate, chondroitin, turmeric, plus I take their collagen peptide. Check out wildernessathlete.com for better results, faster recovery. Throw the discount code ElkShape to save 20%.
So what are some basic partner strategies? I mean, I know I've heard about like the flying V and some things like that. Or what do you think of as I guess like fundamental strategies with a partner?
Find the right bull, first and foremost. You can't call in every elk. So you got to find the bull that wants to play the game today. When I was with you and Tyler last year on the last day, we had a bull that wanted to play ball that morning. Yep. We should have killed that bull. Damn it. He had all the cows.
Yeah, he did.
He left his freaking cows right in transition. Like, he kind of pushed them and then whipped around. I was calling and freaking came back to whip some ass. Our setup sucked. We had the right bull to kill that day. Now, had he done what a normal herd bull would have done, would have been like his bugle just would have got further and further away because he's talking to his cows, and we would have had to like, okay, let's coyote them until they bed, try to keep up, hope that he bugles enough so that we can get they're four-legged critters.
Yeah.
Hopefully he beds up, let them get settled, let the cows chill out and get cozy and comfortable in the shade, and then let's strike up a conversation. And we could try Joel Turner tactics. Bull calling to cows only. We could try that. Calf calls, bull calling cow, no cow calls. We could do some primos, like a couple cow calls. He bugles, I bugle back. He bugles, I bugle. Challenge bugle, raking. Sure, all that's worked before and it will probably work again. Just depends on the day. But find a bull that is receptive to vocalization on that day. Could be tricky to do. But if you find the right bull, and then as a caller, I want to set Josh up. I want to set Riley up. I don't want you to set up and be like, okay, I'm set up. Go back there and call. No, I'm the caller. I'm the quarterback. I'm looking at the terrain. I know that I'm making a sound here. I can see that rise in the topography right there. He is going to stand somewhere within a 50-yard radius of that circle to see me set up downwind of that spot. So if he comes to that spot, you don't kill him. He might wind arc around. You got another chance to kill him. So it's all about the caller being the quarterback, identifying the hang-up spots, making the right sounds, and then working together with a partner to build chemistry. I have more chemistry now with you and Tyler than I did last year, so I could be a better caller. I kind of know, okay, I got to literally grab Tyler by the back of the neck and say, stand here. He's never had anyone call for him. He's a solo elk hunter. He's killed a lot of elk. He's a good hunter, but he's not had a lot of callers for him. So he needs a little more like, I would have to tell him, you did a good job on that first one. I was like, get down there. He's coming down to that opening right now. You almost killed him. Like he came down and around and it's just a matter of inches. So you'll learn that with your team. Yeah. You know, you'll get some reps. But caller should be quarterback, and it'd be really cool if everyone could be quarterbacks at one point during, like everyone could share their load of responsibility being a quarterback, know how to make the sounds, and all that kind of stuff. So the other thing is like, what if your partner like gets easily homesick, easily misses their wife, easily just doesn't like being out alone, or like you really need to vet your partner. How do you vet your hunting partner? Well, I'm glad you asked, Riley. You would go do some scouting trips or a couple recreational backpacking trips. If you went backpacking with Josh right here for like a 3-day, you'd come home and be like, damn, Josh kind of has his bushcraft dialed. He does. I've hunted with Josh. I watched him set up a mouse trap with a flat, like what was that called?
Deadfall.
The deadfall. Like we had this mouse that was ruining our life. He set up a doubt. Like Josh is into bushcraft. Josh can start fires without matches. Josh has hours and hours and hours of in the field backcountry experience, non-hunting. He's very comfortable in his own skin in the backwoods. Okay. You're only 19. How many solo backpacking trips have you done in your life?
Only a couple, not many.
Yeah. So like you would like, it would afford for you to go out and Josh could be like, okay, man, like we're going to hunt together. You got to work on a couple things. Like you need to like move around the way that you put your stuff in a backpack. You got all your heavy stuff at the bottom. You got your light stuff in the middle and your medium on the top. That's not how it works. Or your sleep system sucks. You need to do like, you should test and vet all your gear, including your hunting partner this summer. Even if you don't live out west, go find somewhere to backpack hunt together and figure out your guys' woodmanship's level. It doesn't have to be equal. Like you guys could totally work out great.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be equal, but it does have to be identified strengths and weaknesses so that you can mitigate. I think that gets overlooked. This is what you need to know before you go elk hunting.
Yeah. Experience, just having experience with someone else. Like when you were calling for me, I've never had someone call for me before. And so it's a learning curve, just like starting elk hunting right at the beginning. You got to get those reps in and you'll eventually get better and better. Just like solo elk hunting, it's lots and lots of elk encounters before it works out for you. And so I'm sure hunting with a partner is the same way. You just got to get those reps in, get more experience, get more encounters until you figure out what's going to work. Like, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was in the wrong spot when that elk came into you. And if I would have been in a better spot, I might have got the job done. So, yeah.
Yeah. What you need to know is what to do when you get one killed. Now, we have a cool podcast I did with Dirk Durham many years ago. You're going to have to Google it. Maybe rather you can show note it, but it's what to do once you shoot an elk. And I think it's stood the test of time. It's a pretty darn good, like I think it's 1 hour on purpose so that you stay and do all the stuff we tell you to do after the shot. So it burns an hour, which gives the elk 1 hour, which is great. It's really hard to it's not hard to give an elk 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But every minute after 30 is really like, you might be convincing yourself to go look for your arrow or just go down that trail a little ways and see if you can find some blood. Like, no, dude, like follow the protocol, CSI, crime scene. Like this is every step you take from that point forward dictates your recovery. So let's say you get your elk shot and recovered. What do you need to know? You need to know that meat needs to get to 55 degrees as soon as possible. And that skin is trapping heat in the body. I say if you're solo or with somebody and you're in the bright sun and there's zero shade, it's not cool, and it's only getting hotter, just yank the guts out right away. Gutless method is super cool. I do it 99% of the time, but there have been instances where I'm solo, this bull died, I need the guts out because I have a lot of work to do solo to break this bull down. I'm just going to pull the guts out to be safe. You pull all that heat out anyways, and you're opening it up, and it's a little bit easier to move around with all those guts out, right? But what you need to know is you need to get the skin off right away. And which part of the elk has the most meat?
Hindquarters.
So let's start there. Let's work on one side of the elk. Let's get one hindquarter off. And if you've never done it before, check out Cut Right mobile app. Get it $15 a year. It'll tell you step by step. Download some YouTube videos. That's what you did last year. Watch and go. You can figure it out. It's not rocket science. Get that rear off. Get the front shoulder off. Get the neck meat off. Get the back strap off. Flip it over. Take a break. Drink some water. Sharpen your knife. That's your lower back stretch. Rinse and repeat. Okay, now that you got them in quarters, we need them in the air. We need to get some wind blowing by them. Where's the coolest area? Is there any creeks nearby? Is there shade? Where is a good breeze? Where is a good thermal? Let's at least get some, wind going by the quarter. Are you in grizz country? Let's get those quarters further away from the carcass. where the ribs are, where maybe the guts are. Okay. And let's put those quarters where you can approach them in a way where you have like visibility, where you're not like in some, like you're not going through alders and all of a sudden you're, oh, here's my meat cache. And then, oh, there's interior grizzly waiting for me, you know? So it could be a quarter mile, 200 yards, whatever distance but it's what the terrain, get that meat somewhere cool, somewhere hanging, somewhere where you can see it if you're in bear country.
When you kill, I'm only asking this because I've never packed out with anyone. I just have solo packed out. What's the first thing that you pack out and why?
I will take out the antlers last. Everything else is coming. So the meat on a bone will do better aging. So I typically try not to debone, but there are certain instances where it just doesn't make sense to pack around 14 pounds of bone per quarter. So typically it's bone in, and typically I'm capable to do a hind and front shoulder in one load. And I'm kind of expecting my hunting partner to be able to do the same. And if Tyler Denham's there, I'm getting greedy. That son of a bitch can pack meat. We've one tripped and out multiple times together. His pack's always a little heavier. We one tripped all three of us last year.
Yeah.
Piece of cake, man. I had a rear and a shoulder. I think Tyler had a rear and a shoulder. And I think you had to pack out all the freaking awkward loose meat or something.
I had a front shoulder loose meat. I can't remember for sure, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah. It should, like with two guys, it could be 2 trips or 1 trip. Just depends on how far you got to go and how much misery you want to sign up for. I always try to keep in mind that I have probably another hunt waiting for me. And so that if I just freaking try to hero it all out, I may be smoked for a day or two. Doesn't mean I'm not going to still go hunt, but probably the rear. I typically like to go with my freshest. Like when you kill an elk and it's down, the first trip out will be your best ability to pack the most. Mm-hmm. Your second time around, you're going to be beat up. Muscles are going to be broken down. You're going to be tired. I try not to go heavier each load. I would like to go heavier and then lighter and lighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, good questions. I think deboning is definitely worth the conversation depending on where you kill it. But bottom line is you shouldn't lose meat. And if you're worried about it, don't leave guts in and get it cooling.
If you're worried about your shot placement, what does that timer look like till you start looking?
You need to listen to the podcast Dirk and I did. We go over all those scenarios.
That? Okay.
Yeah. And it'll burn up an hour, which I want you to give the elk an hour anyways. And I want you to I'll give you a couple teasers off that pod. Like once you make a shot, take a picture with your phone of where the elk was standing and then flip your phone horizontal and do a slow pan of where it was and then turn around so you can see kind of what it looks like for you. I like to hang a ribbon, like an orange, yellow, green ribbon of where I was standing. And then if I'm really lacking confidence and then I'm going to check the wind, I'm actually going to try to figure out a way to back out somewhere where my wind's safer and go listen to that podcast. Even if it's just like a 2-minute hike up the hill to a better wind spot, sit down, go to your phone, find downloaded episodes, ElkShape, Dirk Durham episode, whatever it is, listen to it start to finish, follow our protocols. Good to go. But yeah, if you're by yourself, that's one thing. But if you have a hunting partner and they're really seasoned, like they've been hunting a long time, they've killed lots of stuff, a lot of times I'll let them lead the investigation because I'm emotionally attached. Mm-hmm. It's my bull. Like if Tyler and I were together, Tyler Denham, and I shot a bull and I wasn't sure, you're damn right I'm going to let Tyler take the lead. And I'm going to be the guy that stands at the last track or blood that he finds. And I'll be looking, but I'm not going to get in the way of his crime scene investigation and let him lead the charge and be like, okay, Dan, I got more blood right here. I will then move up to that next one and we'll not leapfrog, but I'll just stay behind. I'll just go to last blood as we try to unpack. I will have depending on what we're seeing. If I'm thinking we're going to bump this elk, I might have an arrow knocked and I'll be like, while he's looking for the next blood, I'll be like looking on head on a swivel, maybe glassing through the timber, seeing if I can see him before he sees us. It's a lot to this game. There's a lot to elk hunting,
Yeah.
but this is stuff you need to know.
Do you think it is? I know that you like to be based out of your truck. What do you think about having a base camp and then spike camping out of that, or do you prefer to just be out of your truck?
Well, I love a good spike camp that's productive and fruitful. You know, where I was talking about going next year,
Mm-hmm.
that's just too far to day hunt out of your truck. It's just not going to happen. It's only like 3 miles to the top of the ridge, but the elk aren't there. Then we have to go off the backside and down into those holes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be probably closer to 5 to 6 one way.
That's a long ways.
Let's pretend we get into elk and chase them around a little bit, maybe give it another mile or two. There's 8. Now we got to get back to where the truck is. That could be another 5 or 6. Like 14 miles a day is doable. I don't know if it's sustainable, and it's gonna. That's when I spike out. Is when the buy-ins and buyouts aren't making sense, and the elk is significant enough that I need to shave miles, shave time to save the commodity of energy. Then I'm gonna grab my spike camp bag, which is that initial scent 5K, throw it on. I'm gonna try to find the safest place to spike camp near a water source that doesn't mess the elk's program up. So not in the meadow that they're trying to eat out of, not in a pond that they're getting water out of at night. But I'm going to try to like be off on the sidelines a little bit from the elk. But it's now shaved 4 miles round trip or 6.
Okay, I have an important question that I've wondered about. How close is too close when it comes to spike camping? Like, how close can you get before you're risking your hunt?
It's really the smells. So if you're in the bottom of a drainage and you're hearing the echoing, bugling all night long, but those thermals are coming down to you, hell yeah, you're good to go. In fact, when you get out of your tent in the morning and it's just getting light, those elk will probably be up higher than you. And which way is the wind blowing?
To you.
Get it. Go right at them. Go get you some. Conversely, if you're on this beautiful saddle or ridge top that's shielded from the wind, crazy vantage. In fact, you glassed and ate your mountain house and were glassing from this and watching elk, and they're coming kind of closer towards you, and then nightfall, and your wind sucking down to the basin or the meadows or the system of micro meadows that they're feeding in, and your wind sucking down to them, you could be ruining and educating these elk. That's when I would be concerned. So if it's like 2 miles down, I'm not worried about it. If it's a mile down, I'm probably still not worried about it. If it's like I can hear elk stepping over my tent and like it could be a problem. It could not be. Just depends. I typically prioritize spike camp somewhere on the sidelines, so out of the field of play, but barely, and near a water source. That's ideal.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've covered, I mean, our preseason prep is going to be coming out in podcasts during August as kind of some episodes that we're doing, the Locked In series.
Locked in, baby.
So that kind of covers that. We've covered camping, hunting, different strategies, post-shot. Now you've got the meat. What are you going to do with it? What do you think? Do you butcher or do you?
Yes, I typically do. This is the hardest part to figure out for me because I typically will have more than one tag in my pocket with the freedom to hunt as much as possible, but I have responsibility to this meat. So I can just give an example. Last year, I killed September 9th in New Mexico, and I drove to Idaho, and I stopped in Draper, Utah at Myers Meat. I've used them before, about $600. They let the meat age for 14 days. That's their policy, not mine, which I like it. And then they ship it for a reasonable price. So about $600, including shipping. That's great. Are they as delicate and concerned with my meat as I am? Probably not. So I would prefer to butcher it myself. Our buddy Jason, Wild Meat Gear, that's an option to bring a portable meat cooler, meat locker with a wall-mounted AC unit. You could Yeah, like literally off a generator. You could literally set that up in the field. It's called Wild Meat Gear. Riley, include a link to that in the show
Yeah,
notes.
I will.
The other option is to bring a chest freezer and a generator. I've done that. Did that in Wyoming, and I froze quarters after I hung them, for a couple days, and then I had to go. My buddy had a chest freezer there and a generator, so I put them in the chest freezer at night. I got them rocked up, and then I threw them back in my truck and drove. I will always carry like a 165 plus quart cooler. And then I'll have, if I can carry 2 of those, I can put a whole elk in there. And then I can put like some sort of tray in the bottom to where when the ice melts and turns into water, it doesn't ever touch the meat. I do not like wet water ever, ever. Like I'll never put elk meat in a creek to cool it off.
Sure.
Like that one guy we saw last
that's
year.
what I was just
And I was
thinking
talking to him, I was like, did you do that on purpose? And he was just like, oh yeah, I put my elk in the creek. Tastes great that way. It's like, bullshit. All right. Ask any good butcher. They do not want water touching your meat.
Sure.
So I don't want water touching my meat in the cooler. So get the biggest coolers you can afford and create some sort of system where when the water melts from the ice and it collects and turns into a lake in the bottom of your cooler, that there's somehow a bridge where your meat's not ever, like a rack system where your meat still won't touch. Dry ice has worked well in the past. It's not always easy to find. I have this Baku game, or e-bike company made this. They bought it in China and shipped it over, but it was like essentially like this really giant insulated fishing bag that like unzips and folds up really tight. But you unzip it, I can fit almost a whole elk in there and just put crushed ice all on it, zip it up, and then orient it in a way where I can crack the zipper if water does melt and it drains out, doesn't touch the meat, and I can get 24 hours to wherever I'm needing to go. If you're flying into a hunt, you're gonna have to find a butcher, and you're gonna have to pay to get it shipped. Bottom line, like for me last year, New Mexico bull, I took it to Myers game. Then I went to Idaho, hunted with you. I killed that bull and drove it down to Sousa out of Rigby. Love them. They're awesome. I'll be using them again. And they took my elk in, aged it 10 days, and then I made arrangements to come back by and pick it up. Then I went to Utah, killed that bull, and had him over in Wyoming. There's a place right next to that ranch. They charged $800 to butcher it, and then another $500 to drive it to my house.
Oh.
That shit bankrupted me. And then the Montana bull last year, I butchered it myself. No, that's not true. I lied. I brought it back. I put it in the wild meat cooler, aged it, and then took it to Mike Edgehouse and had him butcher it because I was going on another hunt. I financially can never recover from, like, I spent about $3,000 last year in butchering fees. Dude, I've never spent more than $500 on, like, so people can't afford that shit. And if you can, do it. It's great. I like to age my own meat. I like to butcher my own meat. I have everything to process my own elk meat. Like, I have all the stuff. That is my preference. So in a perfect world, I'd have this huge walk-in cooler here at the property. Every time I kill an elk, I figure out how to get it back to Green Acres, Washington, throw it in there for 14 days, and then come up, cut it up, go back out, rinse and repeat. What do you do with your meat?
In the past, I've butchered my own, especially with deer and stuff like that. It's just a lot smaller. The past couple elk I've had butchered locally here.
Do you know who you used?
I don't. Well, one of the Mountain something, but they stopped taking wild game.
A lot of them have.
They were really, really good. I was really happy with that. And then they stopped taking wild game, and so I found another place that was it was just okay. I don't really want to mention them. Wouldn't recommend them, but
Fair.
Yeah, they did an okay job, but when I got there, it just didn't look real clean. I was just kind of based on some of the places that you've shown on some of your videos, it's definitely the place I took it. That my last elk was not as good, and it wasn't as clean. So it's hard to find. I mean, how many places have you had to call to find a butcher to take your meat when you're in a place that's not close to your home?
Oh,
country?
yeah, you need to do this way before the season starts. Or you'll be like me in South Idaho calling. You saw how many numbers I called using the Elon Musk satellite, trying to make all these calls out. And the last place I called said no as well. And then I like thought of, oh, do you know anyone who's not like in the phone book or online? And they're like, yeah, you should check out this new one. It's Sousa. Called them. They're the best ever. So you should really do all your due diligence ahead of time, and including getting a packer's phone number or inReach number that you can reach if you need. Like, you don't want to lose meat, and if you go too deep, spend $600, have a packer come up, load your elk to you. It's just a good idea. So all that separation, the preparation includes logistics, including packers, including butchers, or including having the right coolers and systems in place. Again, the bag is, I don't know if Baku still makes it. I think they might, but it's just like this giant bag that you can fold up. Have you seen it? It's in my garage.
No, I haven't seen it.
I unbuckle, open it all the way up, unzip it. It's insulated like fishing bag. It's huge. And I can put literally the entire elk in it, and then add crushed ice in there, zip it up. It'll buy you 24 hours to get it to wherever you need to get.
Yeah.
It's huge. Or just buy two Yeti 210s for a small fortune.
Yeah.
I think I could have bought about 5 of those. No, 3 of those last year. I can't spend that much on a butcher ever again.
Dry ice is a good option.
Dry ice works.
If you can find it.
I usually find them at Walmart.
Yeah, I think Walmart's the best place that I found it too.
You mentioned flying earlier.
Yeah. Don't do it.
That's what I was going to ask is,
you need your truck.
Yeah.
You could get a rental or a U-Haul truck or something. It's just, you can do it. It's totally doable, but I just don't know how you're going to get your big rack. If you kill a big bull, you're going to have to pay good money to get that thing shipped.
Yeah.
You're going to pay freight, which is fine. You're going to probably not fly home with your meat. So you're going to have to go to, like, it's going to have to ship. And even if you do find a reasonable price, like, there's no guarantee. Like, my buddy Jason Phelps lost all his meat when he UPS'd it one time. Like, they just lost it, and then they finally found it. It was frozen when he got it in the box, and it was ruined. What are they going to do? They can't just, it's something you can't buy, right? So it just scares me a little bit that way. But trust me, I'd love to fly, but I'm going to drive my truck cross country. So I'd rather have my vehicle so I can control the meat situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Josh, or things you can think of that maybe you wish you knew going into elk hunting? Or
well, I was just going to mention, I think that with somebody that doesn't have a lot of priorities as far as extra tags and whatnot, it's a little bit easier for them if they get one elk for them to handle it themselves. They can get it in, if they bring coolers along, you can get it in coolers. You can go to stop at gas stations with ice, as long as you, like you mentioned, if you can keep the elk off of the bottom so it's not touching water. Especially if you have your truck, it's a little bit easier to not have to pay those freights and those butcher fees to get your meat home.
Well, Riley, tease everybody on we're working on this series right now.
Yeah.
And putting a lot of work into these videos in the pod, kind of teasing what they can see on our YouTube channel, ElkShape, in August.
Yeah, we've got this series. It's called the Locked In series. It's coming out in August. It'll be a 4-video series releasing on the Mondays leading up to elk camp. Might even be good ones to download. If you have any questions leading up to it about gear, hunting, strategies, camp, anything like that, comment below on this podcast or leave comments on those videos. And in the 4th episode, we're going to go in and answer some of those questions. And just try and have a little more interactive feedback for you guys. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to be covering pretty much everything. We did some broadhead tuning. My bow was crazy out. That's going to be a cool video.
Broadhead sight tape?
Yeah. Yeah, the sight tape, which is crazy. I mean, I was just shooting my broadheads yesterday, and my broadhead sight tape versus my field point sight tape, there is a noticeable difference past 50.
We also did all our shooting scenarios.
Yep.
What did we do in the first video?
First video, every video we do fitness, a different teaser for kind of some easy workouts that you can do at home to help get you ready for your elk season leading up to it. And if you're interested in things more similar to that, there is a program we've got, ElkShape training, which has a lot more of that. And I think, don't we have a get ready for elk season program in there?
Yeah, there's two of them.
There's two.
Yeah.
There's 90 days to ElkShape and 21 days to ElkShape for all you guys that are really procrastinating.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said, damn, I'm in too good a shape elk hunting this year? Has those words ever been spoken?
No, those have never, ever been spoken.
Okay.
You can always, that'll get you more encounters. The better shape you're in, the more encounters you get in the woods, and then you don't have any regrets.
Yeah, you might enjoy those encounters too.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is awesome. The first video on that Locked In series, I know we did something really, really important. I just can't remember. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
I am too. I don't know why.
Well, it must not be that important. Skip episode 1.
No, episode 1 is about shooting under duress. And I don't know. We did stuff at Black Rifle with that one.
Oh. No, we didn't.
We didn't.
That's
That wasn't the.
video.
That wasn't the working out and then shooting.
It's because I just edited Locked In episode 2 that I can't even think about what we did in episode 1. We did. Oh, I know what we did. I tested all my broadheads. I figured out which broadhead I wanted to use. That was, and then I switched to an index.
Yeah.
For elk only. So I have one bow set up just for elk hunting this year, and I'm using an index.
And that switching to an index brought a lot of different changes too. I mean, it's with a crazy thing with archery, especially with compound bows. As soon as you change one thing, everything is different. So that's a cool video too, because there was a couple things, and this happens in video too as well, where we did some testing and some different shots where that little change has affected a lot of different aspects of your bow that are only magnified more and more the further out you shoot. And if you're hunting in open country, it's going to be critically important to understand that your little tweak could affect different parts of your bow. And so we address how to fix those issues and then even discover some issues that you didn't foresee, just switching to a different release.
Yeah, I'm glad we found that.
Yeah.
Instead of that. So separations in the preparation, guys. If you like this one, share it with your buddies, put it on your IG, tag us, let us know. We'll share it. And, September's going to be here sooner than later. Right now, you need to lock in your family time, make some memories, fill up their love tank, and just spend quality time because you're going to be gone hunting, doing your thing, and it would be selfish of you not to go do their thing. So don't do a bunch of scouting trips this summer if you got little ones. Go do a bunch of family trips. Go do stuff that they like. You'll have time to go do what you like. Appreciate your support. We'll catch you on the next one.